So I'm at the cash table here in the 50K bounty tournament. There's some fireworks. You get my electronic violators looking right there. Your violators looking right there. So my video abruptly ended because I decided to leave where I was and forgot to pause the video. So I guess I'll delete that one. So this is a 50K bounty tournament. It was likely that last hand was going to be a chop, but it would have been nice to get the victory exclusively. Here we go. Just a large coffee.
And what's inside your coffee? Just background.
Thanks. Did I get another honey?
again, man.
Shut up.
See, it's too hard for them, Rick, and this is why they're acting stupid, right? Why they're talking like that. It's too hard for them. Yeah.
So the screen wasn't working there for a minute. Yeah, strange. I posted a video trying to show something with my camera, then my camera got hacked. Figured I'd try out McDonald's coffee, and it was piss poor as well. They would have had me as a customer every day. I guess I'll try it one more time. They have these entry-level workers in these jobs that set me up and register me, and then expect me to like their business and keep their jobs in the future, right? I'm gonna be the king of the world. You think I'm gonna have you employed? I'm gonna execute you. You work at McDonald's. I applied at McDonald's before and they said I was overqualified. Now I can't get a job, right? You don't need much qualifications to work at McDonald's. No offense to anybody that works at McDonald's that believe they have private thoughts. But if you know you don't have private thoughts and people can listen to your thoughts and you work at McDonald's, fuck you, you're a loser. You cheat, listen to people's thoughts, and all you amounted to is shit. You work at fucking McDonald's or Tim Hortons. That being said, if that's all you could get, an entry-level job, the only way to liberate yourself financially is to get post-secondary education. You have to, in Canada anyways, it's most likely the same in the States or any first world country, you need to separate yourself. You need work experience and post-secondary education. Then doors open up for you. But if you have just your high school or don't even have high school, that's all you could get really is minimum wage jobs. And there's about 100 people that want to replace you any given day. So that's how expendable you are. If you're evil, I have fucking zero mercy for you. I might even automate you in the future. Because how hard is it to pour a fucking coffee? You can make a machine make it right every time. But a person that could set up another person in a system just because where their eyes were hacked to look. They showed me a picture in my mind's eye of me being born. How would I be able to see that without computer-assisted telepathy? How could I see my head coming out of my mom's vagina in my mind's eye? Or see my mom on a plane near a window seat when she was traveling by air. When she was 6 months pregnant with me. How could I know that if they weren't documenting me prior to my birth? They even crashed an airplane the day I was born. Alabama. Leonard Skinner went to, they crashed the day I was born. Let's see, what time did they crash? Because I believe I was born in the morning, something like 6:20 or something like that. When did...
The 1977 Convair CV-240 crash was on Thursday, October 20th, 1977.
Well, that's cool. I was born on a Thursday. I'm kind of waiting, not in this hand anyways, but this guy right here.
According to Wikipedia, Field Marshal Colin Campbell, 1st Baron Clyde, GCB, KSI, was a British Army officer. After serving in the Peninsular War and the War of 1812, he commanded the 98th Regiment of Foot during the First Opium War and then commanded a brigade during the Second Anglo-Sikh War.
But that guy, he unofficially, or officially, he didn't have any kids. But unofficially, I believe he had kids with Queen Victoria. And I'm a descendant of those kids. Because my family, one of my family is, remember, it was something like 1894, 1895. They went to a royal ball. So they have this royal invitation. And so they were invited to this ball, and on the back of the ball it said Colin Campbell and Duncan McTaggart, because in the system, my family was supposed to be done the can, so finished their generational prison sentence, basically, for existing. They've been punishing my family just for being alive for generations. But at the same time, they infiltrate my family, the marks of my family, at various generations, right? Like with my ex-wife, I was pretty promiscuous, not prior to her, right? I was pretty promiscuous guy, and it got to a point where I couldn't reach the finish line, if you know what I mean, sexually, at all, when I was having sex with random women, and so I couldn't climax. But then with my ex-wife, we kind of dated on and off for a couple years, but then the last time we got together, all of a sudden I could climax. So who do you think I chose? Right? So I'm pretty sure they developed technology to prevent me from climaxing with these other women, so I would choose her. Because it made it impossible for me to get them pregnant. First of all, they didn't want that, because I have this evolutionary DNA, right? So they kind of wanted to control who, like, my ex-wife, her second pregnancy, she had a miscarriage, right? So I believe it was covertly aborted, because the baby was likely to be a female, and my first child was a female, so they wanted to see what a boy would be like. So my ex-wife had a miscarriage. It was September 16, 2004, so 20 years ago almost. And so I would have had 2 daughters, most likely. And but my son wouldn't have been born. My wife, luckily enough, ex-wife got pregnant about a month later, and then my son was born. Right, so I wouldn't have my son if the miscarriage didn't happen, basically. So it's kind of a blessing and a curse, right? Because in one hand I lost one child, but I gained another one, right? So all I know is my son. I never had an opportunity to know my potential second child. So I can't imagine life without my son. He's turning 19 soon. He's he has a girlfriend. He's pretty steady, and they've been dating for almost a year now. So I'm glad he's more monogamous than I was at that age, and because he's a very handsome boy, man, and easy on the eyes. He's easy on the eyes when he's once he peaks, once he's finished grown, once he looks like a full-grown man, if he chooses to, he's gonna be lights out gorgeous for women. They're just gonna drool over him. Like his features, he has really good features, and his personality is just phenomenal. Would be the best soccer player on the planet, and so I'm kind of not in the video or in this game right now, this hand. So I am in this hand, but I can't call that bet. So I'll show you a video. This is me and my son, and the lead up to it is we did it basically. I threw the football my first attempt. I walked over and he threw the football his first attempt. Or I mean not football. He kicked the soccer ball his first attempt, and he was 14 at the time. I was about 35 yards away. He was about 40 yards away. I say 35 yards away. So I'll let it play again since I was talking through it.
My son.
And this is him from, say, 35 yards away. He's 14. Look how small he was. So we were trying to do that.
Here's some of that evolutionary talent. Here's me going bar down with the football.
When I threw that, I was plus minus a foot left or right of my target in my mind. And I don't know about his target, but I walked over, I filmed him, he was like bar down. He was 14 at the time. Like, if I would have realized, he should have been scouted for sure and developed, but what I should have did, as if I could roll back the time to when he was 14, I would have, if I was a better photographer, like if I had money, I would have hired somebody to film him in the games and then I would take the footage and I would email all the coaches in Europe basically, and try to get him to live over in Europe for, like, he would have spent his high school in Europe basically developing as a player to play in FIFA, right? Like, because when you play soccer, you want to play in FIFA. That's where all the money is, and that's where all the biggest glory is, right? There's Major League Soccer in North America, but it doesn't quite have the prestige as FIFA. I don't even know if they have a Major League Soccer game. Let's see. MLS
According to
Game Night.
Wikipedia,
So, okay, that's cool. They do.
ESPN MLS Game Night is a video game of the sports genre released in 2000 by Konami and Sapphire.
That's awesome. So they do. So that's good, right? Because if you want to be a pro player, you want it all, right? You want the endorsements. You want to end up in a video game, basically. You want to be the best player in that video game. That's 100%, and that dominates in the game, so that you're on the all-century team or the all-time team, right? When my son was younger, I didn't buy him a hat that said pro. I made him a hat that said Hall of Fame. So yeah, if I could turn back time, I would have tried to, because I'm not that the best video, like especially with the cell phone camera, right? I can't film the best you can zoom in, and it's hard to follow live action soccer, right? When it's so dynamic. But somebody that was more qualified, right? Basically, if they didn't rip me off for my inventions, I would have been able to hire somebody to develop him as a talent for a soccer player. First of all, I would have hired the best coaches and trainers, and from the moment, as soon as he said I love soccer, and he never complained once about practice, right? So I would have spent as much money as I could afford to develop that talent, because he never once wanted to miss practice. Never once wanted to say, I don't want to go to practice today because I want to play with my friends. Never once, right? He always wanted to go to practice, anything to do with soccer, right? He loved it. And I wish he was more passionate about hockey, being Canadian myself, than soccer, but it is a world sport. Because he was a pretty good little hockey player, and in the future it's going to be determined that a lot of players were leeching attributes off me and my son and my daughter when she was at the games as well, or maybe just in her being in the city. Because they told me at one point we left town in 2017, so sports kind of dropped. The quality of play kind of dropped for a couple years when we were out of town from 2017 to 2020. So if they're consistently putting out OHL players every year, and then all of a sudden for 3 years in a row, they're not. You can look this up, like I showed it in other videos, but before I was born, in the 1976 Olympics, United States was 3rd in the world, and Canada was something like 44th. And then when I was 7 years old, so once I was old enough, because they kind of boycotted an Olympics, I want to call, but I can't. It's not advantageous to. So they boycotted the Olympics. So the 1984 Olympics, when I was 7, United States was 1st, and Canada was 11th in the world. So they both jumped up in rank and after I was born, because they were able to leech my evolutionary attributes. And they've consistently performed well in the Olympics because of that ever since I've been born, basically. Because my dad was alive, he was a good athlete. He was offered a pro hockey tryout, but he was a teenager. He partied the night before and missed his opportunity. My grandfather, his dad, turned down a professional baseball contract because it was in the 40s, and professional baseball players weren't making the multi-millions that they were now, right? So at the time, he didn't figure he could afford a house in Cincinnati and Toronto at the same time. Like, he was going to keep my grandmother and my dad in Toronto, and he would have been in probably womanizing in Cincinnati. Because I'm pretty sure part of his campaign in the war was to impregnate women, because, like, for the government, I think there's a whole bunch of bastard, like, I don't know who I guess they would be uncles or aunts to me that are related to him, because he told me he slept with 1,200 women. and my dad was a womanizer. So they kind of raised me to be a womanizer. So I kind of broke the cycle with my son, right? His entire life, I basically had, in his mind, I've been in 2 relationships probably, other than what I've told him. Been with his mom and then this one other woman. What a terrible hand here. This is terrible. But I guess I'm running out of batteries, so I need to make a stand soon, and it's not with deuce 4. So I wonder how many of these aunts and uncles of mine, half aunts and half uncles of mine, are evil. They'd be probably about, well, my dad would have been 77, so they would be, some would be older than 77, some would be younger than 77. I need to win the very next hand I play. And hopefully there's 4 or 5 callers and I win it all, right? Without a chop pot. Or a split pot. So this McDonald's coffee isn't that bad now. So they must have hacked my taste buds when I first got it. Because now it's not too bad. But it's like, if you want me to give a poor review, basically, then treat me like shit. Because one day I'm going to be world famous, right? So people are going to be watching these videos in like 10, 20 years, 40 years from now, 50 years from now. People don't think long term. I think long term. Because every single one of my videos I'm putting, if there's an hour-long poker, right, I'm putting a quality product where usually I get unlucky with big hands. Is the story line of my videos. Usually I consistently owed a chip up and usually dominate the table. And here we go. Is this the hand? Pretty soon I gotta jump in the deep end here. It's such a terrible situation when you're in poker, right? The last thing you want to be in is in a situation where you have to get lucky. Like, if you want to get lucky, play the slots, right? But poker's a skill game. So maybe I'll get lucky. I have to get lucky. With a hand like this, I'm likely to get multiple callers, so I have to get lucky for it to hold up. But at least it's better than nothing. Jam, go all in. They called. And of course there's a queen. Somebody likely has the queen. Somebody go all in with the 5. Ace 5. Go all in with ace 5. That's a nice size bet. Good luck, me. Nice. I'm glad he bluffed. If he bluffed, I might have lost to one of the other opponents. Oh, okay, so I'm in the play money at least, which is good. And I achieved my goal of from MeyerDiggins Poker 130 through 150, not finishing last in the tournament, and I finished in the not top 10, but I reached top 10 at some point in the tournament several times, which was a goal of mine. Because my goal is never really to be the chip leader until I'm at the final table. Then my goal is to be the chip leader. My goal is to be average stack and ideally the chip leader at my table and just focus on my table. I needed a flop large there and I didn't. That's unfortunate. I shouldn't have called. I needed to get lucky that hand. Because I would have had it go on basically 3 outs to make this call. I'm glad the jacks held out. At least it prolonged me from playing. So let's see. I'm currently 129th out of 130 remaining. And average stack is 54k. Wow. So I got to do some climbing. I got 3k. But I don't want to be the last one out now. But it's so hard. I have to win the very next hand I play, right? But if I'm patient enough, I might be rewarded. And if lucky enough, I'll win 2 or 3 hands in a row, then I'll be able to open up the playbook, right? Because right now it's pretty much push or fold. How did that change everything? The ace could have changed everything for this guy. For the short stack. Does he have the jack? I think he loses. The short stack loses. So it lasted him, so that's mission accomplished. And here we go. I have to win this hand. Nice. Would have been nice if he called and I won, but at least I won a hand. So 119th out of 124, that's not bad. So I lasted like 4 players or 6 players. In poker, the whole key is to try to survive as long as possible. Then eventually luck has to reward you. It's part of the game. You can't, maybe not for me so much, but in the past, eventually you get rewarded by being patient if you're lucky. But if I'm like, I usually do this, then in the future I'm most likely to lose that way because of the artificial intelligence, right? There's a higher probability because there's a bunch of people that they're sucks, for more or less, right? It's supposed to be a game of skill, and they water down my intellect, and I still outcompete them because of my mindset. I have a champion's mindset. I used to read the encyclopedia in the washroom for years, and I used to read like philosophical quotes of like see how extraordinary people, what was their mindset that made them extraordinary? How did they become more than ordinary? Right? So I would watch documentaries and man, this is probably the hand, but this is a beautiful hand, pretty hand, but pretty disappointing, so I'm gonna fold. And I would have flopped a straight, the flush, but what I have lost. So now there's a potential full house, 4 of a kind, and now anybody could have a diamond. So I would have won. So that's unfortunate. So that most likely, unless I get lucky again, like that most likely is going to come back to haunt me that I didn't take that opportunity, right? Because when you're in desperation mode, it's pretty much your gut has to be in line with your hand that time, right? It's either, okay, is this going to be the winner? I'm going for it. Good luck me if they call. I'll probably lose by the river, but no, I didn't lose. Nice. Nice, and I got a KO. Oh yeah. So I'm trying to make it home before I run out of battery, basically. So now, instead of 3 big blinds, I almost have 10 big blinds. So until they go up again, and then I'm going to be in extreme desperation mode. So I need to win. At least the next hand would be ideal, or big blind would be ideal. If I could win next hand a big blind, then I should have about 30 to 40,000 chips, and then I could open up the playbook. I could run or pass. Or in hockey, try to create some odd man rushes, and I would have loved to play hockey if from a kid, learning from like say 3 years old all the way to becoming a young man, and then playing as a man to I would have wanted to be a center at first to get goals, but as I grew as a player, I would have wanted to become a two-way center, basically. Help out defensively, but get back offensively as well. And be physical. I'm a physical guy, so I'd want to be physical in the corners, and I'd be really chippy. I'm a pretty good instigator. In basketball, right, they have fouls, so I was pretty good at getting people to foul out. Just by getting in their head psychologically, right? Sometimes it was just outplaying them, and other times it was just staring them down, doing whatever, right, to win within the rules. I was in a basketball league. I kept all my stats, my rebounds, assists, steals. I was too small for the position I wanted to play. I wanted to be a power forward, but I'm only almost 6'1". So I'm too short to be able to bang with the big boys if I was to be in the NBA, right? Most guys my height are point guards. Or shooting guards. Kind of needed to be at least 6'6", 6'8" to be a power forward. But I loved it. Because I love trajectory and math, right? So with rebounding, I almost always got my own rebound. Because I would see how it bounced, so I'd play the bounce, position myself, so I'd get tons of rebounds. I pretty much got a double, or what is it, got at least 10 points and 10 rebounds every game. And then maybe a few blocks and definitely lots of assists, at least 3 assists per game. Not assists, steals. There would have been assists, but I didn't really keep track of them. And in baseball, the only season of hardball that I played, I must have batted 600 at least, and hit very few singles. They were mainly doubles or triples or more, right? And every single base I hit, I stole a second base at least. Every single. Got called up to play against 21-year-olds, and I was 15 at the time. And the jersey that they had, I was a large, and but there was a guy that was probably in an extra large, right? So I gave him my large. So the medium, I had a rip so my biceps could flex when I swung. So I could get full extension with my arms, because the jersey was so constricted into my biceps that I had to cut the inside of my biceps by my armpit. Got called up against 21-year-olds, and I was a little too shy, and it was my first season, and I didn't realize that was the opportunity to become a pro and get scouted and possibly at least university. I probably would have ended up in college in the States and would have aspired to be a Major League Baseball player. Well, I think I showed it in this video. So the whole long and short of showing the Colin Campbell is so anyways, he was born on October 20th, the same day that I was. So I was, they made it so my mom had me that day, basically. They must have induced labor somehow. And he died the day that my first cousin, who's a male, was born. My cousin was born August 14th, and I was born October 20th. So there's no coincidence. So that means that my cousin was also specifically born on that day. Because there's no coincidence. The famous fashion brand Victoria's Secret is it's a clue hidden in plain sight, basically, for the true Cook descendant to figure out that they're the true monarch line, basically. So Victoria's Secret was that she had a kid with Field Marshal Colin Campbell. Probably a couple anyways. And I'm a descendant of those kids. So I just made it home with 1% battery. 1%. Good luck, me. And the jack had to come, of course. So came 92nd out of 1,466. It's brutal because the jack always comes in that situation. Every single time. So I guess I'll play. I just got back, so
I should have wagered. I should have wagered that the Jack or the King was going to come, and I would have bet like 50% of my unofficial wealth that it was going to come that time, because it was guaranteed. All my videos, every time I need to win, I lose, because it's very rarely that I need to win. Usually I have them covered and I could afford to lose. So I'm waiting for this to, it's supposed to see tournaments. There we go. So there's a bounty builder, so I'll just play this, might as well. Try to make it 90th out of 1400, it's not too bad. Within the last 3 days, I've came 54th, 20th out of 54th out of something like 1289, 20th out of 1400 something. And June 11th, I came first out of 111 in a $10 tournament and got destroyed by luck today in a $10 tournament and a $5 tournament. Two $5 tournaments yesterday. I must have lost at least 3 or 4. So either 3 out of 4 flips or 4 out of 5 flips. My last 4 or 5 flips. Only won once. Lost $10 in cash, approximately, in flips today. And I only put $10 on. So in this particular tournament, it's the entry-level tournament on PokerStars. And there's no bounty. And it doesn't really start getting competitive until, say, 11:30. After 11:30, late registration ends. So then, at that point, people are a little bit more serious. I guess it was fairly decent when in the 50K bounty tournament, because I was 128th out of 130 or whatever, and I finished 90th. So I did outlast 40 people, right? So that was all right. But it's pretty suspicious the last couple of days. I went periods in tournaments where I went close to 20 hands without a winning hand, a playable hand. One of the best hand I had was maybe ace 4, ace 7. You're supposed to get a pocket pair once every 17 hands. And I know based when I request my hand history, I get nowhere near that amount for pocket pairs, and if I do, it's going to be terrible pocket pairs. And I played millions of hands, so they can't cover it up very easily. Because I would have to go on an incredible lucky streak for like a year. I'd probably win about 25% of my flips, so, because they're cowards. So I just sat out for a couple minutes, let my phone charge. And I'm still more than starting stack, and it's almost end of late registration, so it's a decent little tournament. They call it the Bounty Builder. But what is first place? I'll tell you if it's really worth it. I haven't played in such a long time. First place, so yeah, you could win like 700k. That's not too bad. Because then you could play in the 50k Bounty Builder, the 250k Bounty Builder, or the 500k Bounty Builder. There. Because bounty tournaments are the most fun for me, because that's how I make a lot of money on it, and it pays for me to play in cash games or bigger tournaments. Because you're not guaranteed to finish in the money, but usually I squeak out a couple bounties and almost cover the entry fee for the tournament, so which makes it so I could enter another tournament. I might re-enter if I lose this hand. But I have like less than a minute, so if it rolls up to 11:30, okay, I'm gonna fold. Because I would have missed that late entry or whatever. Late registration. So I had a goal to not finish last in 20 poker videos, basically, in a tournament, and I didn't. But I think I'm almost never going to finish last. Slightly never. Probably like less than 1% of the time I'm going to finish last. Maybe if I got pocket aces, I wouldn't lose. I wouldn't become last with pocket king. Ace king, unless pre-flop. Anyways, I could possibly lose once I seen all the community cards, but I usually lose with ace king, so I wouldn't risk it all pre-flop at the beginning of the tournament usually, because the blinds are so cheap, right? So at the beginning of the tournament, so if you have 5,000 chips and the blinds are 40 or whatever they are, then if you come out with a 1,200 chip bet, sometimes you get a lot of folds, right? But sometimes you get a big call, like a weak call, and then you could double up through them. But I like to typically make a strong bet in that scenario and then evaluate my hand as it progresses. So if I like the flop, then I might invest more or call a bet or raise all in, depending on my scenario. And same for the turn and then the river. But speaking of the wannabe hand, I've lost the last 2 times I've had it. So I won a pot anyways with it. When you're new to poker, you think ace king's like an awesome hand. It is it's a strong pre-flop hand, but it quickly loses power after the flop. Unless you hit the king, right? it's ideal you want to hit the king or the ace, right? Because if you hit the king, then you have the best kicker. But if you hit the ace, you still have the best kicker. But people might be more suspicious if you hit the ace than if you hit the king. You're more likely to extract more money with the king. Because if they have the ace, right, they're going to think that they could outdraw you. So you get some loose calls that way. Look at this, 4 people all in. That's a pot you want to win. You want to win it outright when there's 4 people all in. So I want to see. Yeah, you could kind of see it. And it looks like a face right there. Right in between my fingers. But, that was spit from a couple days ago. That's the nanotechnology. So to unregister, if you have private thoughts right there, exclusively. And if you know you don't have private thoughts, you die right there. So once again, let's get people that violate private thoughts, people right there. And it's funny because people are like real government people, like people that have official government positions are trying to make it so I slaughter innocent people rather than enemy combatants that are electronic rapists of mine and terrorists of mine that try to kill me, right? Perceived force. And if I lose this artificial intelligence war by trying to dispatch people just by thoughts or having people look at different spots on the screen, so is it just in my head? Like, I'll never personally take arms on the front lines anyways with in this artificial intelligence war, but because World War III is basically happening right now, but just in the artificial intelligence realm. And but that doesn't mean that other people can't rise up against their government if necessary to help privatize their thoughts. I would stand by them 100%, and they would have these innocent private thought people would have 100% accuracy with weapons, and their enemy combatants would have 0% accuracy and likelihood of misfiring and jamming and friendly fire incidences. I don't know what the Geneva Convention is, but I guess I would have to read that first. But excluding the Geneva Convention, I would, in a total war scenario, basically, I would shoot to wound to basically cause blood transfusions and allow them to retreat and then try to flank their positions. But I would want to inundate their blood service department, because every time they need a blood transfusion, that's people have to donate blood, right?
So I'd want to inundate. I would take very few prisoners, but I would make lots of wounded people. I would shoot them in their firing finger so they could never shoot a weapon again. If that's within the rules of the Geneva Convention, right? But in a total war scenario, whoever wins the war kind of makes the rules for the world, right? The loser doesn't. The loser faces war crimes tribunals. That's how wars work. Good like me. 9-6. Oh. And I lost. Oh, I didn't. I'm survived anyways. That's alright. And I would shoot specifically above the body armor, towards the throat, and just above the body armor below the chin. I would aim, because in video games I used to do that, and I would destroy the competition. And if there was multiple opponents in video games, I would shoot to wound the first guy, and then shoot to kill the second guy, come back, kill the first guy. Ideally, right, most people are right-handed, so in a real-life scenario, I would shoot for the right shoulder, or the kill shot. I'd spray several bullets. I'd 3 rounds to the first guy, and then shoot to kill the second guy, come back to kill the first guy, right? But ideally, I would want to try to shoot his shoulder and make him stagger and disorientate him so I could dispatch the second guy, and then the first guy. Depending on the scenario, right, of how quick you get the drop on them, right? If you hear them first and see them, you could aim, but you might only be able to shoot their legs, the first guy's legs, and then aim for the second guy in that moment of confusion, right? But when I would be walking around corners, I'd be always aiming around the corner. I'd have a mirror that could peek around corners. I'd be worried about snipers. And unfortunately for Canada, they kind of made us kind of vulnerable because they had a long gun registry recall, and so they basically took a bunch of guns out of Canadian citizens' hands. So at least in the States, they have the right to bear arms, right? So that means when they're invaded, you never know how many guns that household has. They might have 30 guns. They might have an arsenal. And in a protracted war, it's house by house, street by street. So every street in the States could be, every inch of ground could be a stronghold, basically. Whereas in Canada, we don't, it's very few people have guns, right? Like, you go to Walmart. I used to live on Sioux, Ontario. So I would go to Sioux, Michigan, and the Walmart, you would see guns there. In Sioux, Ontario, you see BB guns. Right, so if I was American, I'd buy an assault rifle just for fun, and in case there was ever a civil war or an invasion. I'd want an assault rifle, a pistol, and then a long gun. And I would try to be a marksman at all of them, right? In case the country needed me to be. Because the thing about guns is too much power. Too much power, right? Guns don't kill people. People kill people. It's too much power. in your hand, right? Where you see it with, I'm a pedestrian most of the time, or I ride a bike, but I see it with people all the time. I'm gonna have to jam here and go with this. I don't like it, but you see it all the time. People are super tough in their cars because they're behind a 2,500 pound weapon. The same people wouldn't be talking shit to me in person, because nobody talks shit to me in person. They might stare at me occasionally, give me like hard stare downs and stuff like that, but very rarely do people talk shit to me. Because like I'm 6'1", and right now I'm about 170, but normally I'm a 200 pound man, right? So I'm intimidated into some. I'm not an easy target. Like when my son was born 18 years ago, I was 28 at the time. He was born on a Thursday. I'll have to look. I'm pretty sure it was a Tuesday, but I went out to the bar a couple days later, so it must have been a Thursday. I went out on a Saturday. Anyways, I went out to the bar on a Saturday, and all night long, guys were shoulder checking me and getting aggressive with me. And I was like a firecracker, like a firework. I was just so excited that my son was born. I was like, woohoo, all night long, right? And I was just ecstatic. So anyways, at the end of the night, I'm like, the next guy that shoulder checks me, I'm gonna push him, and then if he gets aggressive, I'm gonna knock him out. And I basically did that 10 plus times in self-defense. I stopped counting at 10 guys. I knocked out at least 10 guys that night. One punched. At one point, 3 guys approached me, and I threw 3 punches simultaneously and knocked all 3 of them out. So needless to say, most people don't get aggressive with me. If there was cell phones like how they are now with smartphones, I would have instantly became famous overnight. I would have had a UFC contract. Instantly would have became famous. Because throwing 3 punches in less than a second and knocking out 3 opponents. When I knocked out the first guy, the second guy didn't have time to punch before I knocked him out, and the third guy didn't have time to punch before I knocked him out. And this one other incident, this guy picked a fight, and he's bigger than me. And I just remember saying, like, I'm too big, or I'm too fast for you. You don't want to fight me. You don't want to fight me. And then he got aggressive. I hit him. He spun to the ground. As he was falling to the ground, I kicked him on the chin and knocked him out cold. I was surgical with my feet. I could turn on and off light switches with my feet without stubbing my toes. I could jump kick 8 feet, no problem. Spin kick 7 feet, no problem. Maybe not now, but at 42 I could, for sure. I'm 46 now. They've been hacking my body lots the last couple years. So let's see. So I'm currently 136 out of 190 remaining, 5,913 average stack. It's not break, it's just on the money bubble. So now it gets interesting in the tournament. But I need to make something happen. Another time I once ran almost a kilometer to avoid a fight. But then once I got tired running, I stood my ground and defended myself. And I'm 17 at the time and ended up beating up 2 21-year-olds.
Oh, I would have had the flush draw, but will it materialize? I think it was good full pre-flop. Unless the 3 of clubs comes. The 3 of clubs didn't come. The 3 of clubs came and I was in the pot. I might have got a few calls thinking I was trying to steal the chop pot. So I pretty much have to run with it. There's lots of people that act after me, so I don't like my chances if I get called, but it's probably the best hand I'm gonna get. So what does this guy have? He could have any 2 cards. Hopefully this guy goes all in. And the first guy folds. All in. So it's a flip at least. And I want nice. Yeah, the incident with the 10 plus guys, if it was on film, all you would have seen was self-defense. That guy trying to talk his way out of it, saying, no, leave me alone, just leave me the fuck alone. If you come near me, I'm gonna knock you out. And that was a challenge to 10 plus guys. So that being said, if you're a young guy, if you're 19 in Canada or 21 in the States, when you go to the bar, guys are likely to pick fights at the end of the night, at the very end of the night, once the lights come on, if they don't meet women. So if you're there with one other guy, it's a good time to leave. Maybe, like, if you're not out there to meet women and maybe you don't stay till the very end of the night, leave like 10 minutes before closing time, because they're not going to leave the bar early to beat you up. But there's likely to be a fight in the parking lot a certain percentage of the time, right? With the young guys and alcohol. So, because everything's like a loaded gun to a young guy. As you get older, you get, at least you should. Some people, they don't know how to master their anger. You got to learn how to control the things that anger you and not let it master you. Like the rig in poker, if I let it, like, it bugs me, don't get me wrong, but I can't let these predators know how much it bugs me. Because then they win psychologically, right? But punitive damagely wise, it does affect me all the time. Because I know it's stopping me from having at least $1 million in poker. I should have $1 million in my bank account at least from poker. And probably $100 million in stocks. And several inventions out there, products that are on, ideally in Canada, it would be a product in Walmart, right? To try to get as many products in Walmart or Amazon or as possible. Or Canadian Tire, right? To get on the shelf space. At eye level. You want to be eye level shelf space in a big box store, right? They call it top shelf for a reason, because people don't want to look on the bottom shelf and bend over and grab your shitty product.
It's just too bad we're too short, because Walmart, they have these huge roofs, and like maybe if there was I guess in the future it'd be more like a ship and receiving place, but instead of forklifts, it would be maybe a little bit automated to get more the things off the top higher up, right? So they could get more products in their store. Because you have that free space, ceiling space, right, that's being wasted. And one day I'm gonna own Walmart, so the name might not be the same, but it depends if there's any subliminal cultivation metrics, most likely. But it would be, if it were to be renamed, it would be renamed by loyal customers of Walmart that value it and what they would want to name it, right? But ideally in Walmart, because Walmart seems to take over a lot of small businesses, right? So any new Walmart that was built would have at least 9 potential storefronts for businesses. So you could have a florist, you could have a hairdresser, they're affiliated with McDonald's, so you would have a McDonald's. You might have another one, like maybe Subway, or a dentist, or 9 different services that you could provide, right, for each Walmart, because they have a lot of wasted storefront at the front of the stores that could be refurbished to accommodate some of the small businesses that they made obsolete. But they could still, it might not be in Walmart's best interest to get in the flower business, but they can make money off people that do want to get in the flower business by just making money on rent, right? Because a lot of people go through Walmart, right? Like if you want to get a franchise, I want to get a Walmart franchise, because they must make at least $100,000 a day, at least, easy, per store, right? So that's a lot of money. And you always see at least 50 to 100 cars in the parking lot when they're open. So with the 9 different storefronts idea, you would have all these people that went to Walmart, but that could be impulse. It's like, oh yeah, like, because the one in the town I'm in, they have a haircutting place, right, in their Walmart, so I got my haircut there, right? If I would have went somewhere else, but it just I happened to be at Walmart, and they happened to offer that service, so they got my business, basically. And when I own grocery stores, I'm gonna have, like, depending on the market in North America, it's gonna be something like roast beef, rotisserie chicken, flame broiled, right? So when you walk into the grocery store, all you smell is this delicious food to make you hungry and buy more of my product. So I guess this will be the end of this video, since it's an hour and a half long. So for the continuation of the tournament, watch the next video, the following one. And to have your mind blown about privatization of thoughts, look there. Go to www.change.org/technology. Because computer-assisted telepathy exists, so you could deny reality, but you can't deny the consequences of denying that reality. So you could pretend it doesn't exist, and your thoughts are private, but they're not. So you need to sign the petition, share it on social media, and contribute money to get it on the agenda in your country. Anyways, thanks for watching. Have a great day.